Madam President, it's John Quinn. I got interrupted. I'm sorry. Listen, I submitted my application as a field organizer, which is what I'm best suited for politically, for Hillary for America 2016. I would even be willing to relocate for the pivotal, crucial months from Labor Day to Election Day to one of the, let's say, 12 key states that are in play. My preference would be West Virginia. I believe that I can connect with that coal mining community as a state collectively and help explain and illuminate in a clear language from the heart perspective how Hillary Rodham Clinton's administration is not going to leave West Virginia hanging out to dry during the critical transformation and transition from coal to uh, solar energy to energy that is friendly to the environment. And certainly we all know that coal is not. I think there's a great fear that West Virginia is going to be left holding an empty bag. And I would be good, whether it's on the bus or at a cafe or whatever, explaining that, when Bill Clinton was president, he won West Virginia twice. And while John Kerry lost it once and Barack Obama lost it twice, there's no reason you can't win it. Those 5 electoral votes I am obsessed with because I am convinced, and I say this with reference, man, that we may very well lose Michigan. And we have to take that into calculation in the grand scheme of things. I'm not saying that about Florida or Virginia, but Michigan, I have grave concerns about. So we need to make up for that. And West Virginia's 5 electoral votes cannot be dismissed for any reason at all. So having said that, I focused my application, it was not multimedia, it was in writing, on not your extensive national security credentials, although I did mention, I cited one example, a Secretary of State, which shows that Hillary Rodham Clinton has enough confidence in her persona and in her personhood to appoint great, brilliant, bright men, the best of the best, like Dick Holbrooke, to be her special envoy to Pakistan and Afghanistan. That shows a couple of things. A, the ability to delegate power as an executive, but B, having confidence enough in yourself that you're not intimidated by having brilliant people around you. Let's face it, when Richard Nixon in 1968 picked Spiro Agnew as his vice president, unlike 60 when he picked Henry Cabot Lodge, a man of substance, he wanted a dummy. He didn't want somebody challenging him in the cabinet room. That's not you. So I did mention that, but the real thing I focused on is since January of 1979, you have been so consistent, you have not had your finger in the wind one bit, illuminating first to the people of Arkansas, and then as First Lady in your book, It Takes a Village, that children are our most precious natural resource as a country. And that means something to me, man, because budgets are moral documents. And I know that under a Clinton administration, children, particularly pre-K, Head Start, etc., aren't going to suffer. Budgets aren't going to suffer. We're going to have a Department of Education that interfaces with states and localities in a whole new dynamic way to make sure that our children are educated properly, that they're fed properly, that they're clothed properly, that they're taken care of properly. That means something to me. Jim Carville, back in 1992 in the War Room, had not a pejorative term, Madam President, but a funny term for true believers. He called them TBs, in quotation marks. So call me a TB. I also sent you an email in which I said that part of my motivation, a big part of it is, before I die, I want to do a couple of things. Number one, I want to return to my roots. I started with Bill and Hillary Clinton, and I want to finish with Bill and Hillary Clinton. And one of the things that you taught me indirectly, not directly in person, was that everybody, regardless of their individual station in life, and regardless of what their sphere of influence is, has the responsibility to leave this world in slightly better condition than that in which they found it. So to that end, I plan to do that between now and my death. Number two, and most importantly,
to prove to you through my emails, through my multimedia messages to you, through longhand letters that you'll be receiving to you and the president, that being Clinton, not Obama, and your campaign hierarchy, people who are very cynical, like John Podesta, and I'm not criticizing him, that I mean business, that I want some degree of spiritual, political redemption before I die, and that even the most disappointing person in all of the Clinton-Gore campaign staff, including paid and volunteers combined, let's face it, that would be me, can find his way home politically, ideologically, but most importantly, Madam President, spiritually. I'll always be honest with you, and I'll never be sneaky with you and do something behind your back. If I have something that I'm upset about or whatever, I will communicate it to you. Not going to an AA meeting. I don't go to AA meetings, ma'am, and raise my hand and discuss anything political, any past resentment, quote unquote, that I'm being, quote, persecuted, and none of that nonsense. When I'm in DuPont Circle, ma'am, I just, I go to Starbucks, I have a cup of coffee, I go to Kramer Books, I read books, I mind my own business. That's what I want between now and Election Day, is the best possible behavior on my part, and you can make that easier for me by just getting the service off my back. One bit of good news is that I'm getting my refund from Social Security so I can hopefully furnish my apartment. It's about $1,300. I've long accepted the fact that I'm going to die a poor man, that power, money, and fame are not in the cards for me. I say what I'm about to say with great respect and reverence, and not in any way to antagonize you, ma'am, President Clinton, Bush, or Obama. That a future president, about 30 years down the line, is not going to call you to task or call President Clinton, Bush, and Obama to task where John Quinn is concerned. But what he will say is that a rather tragic situation happened in the 90s and the 2000s in which a young man, an idealistic, altruistic human rights activist, was treated at minimum abusively by his government, and at worst contributed to his early death, and that we, the United States, owe John Quinn an apology without any mention whatsoever of any president. I believe that day is going to come. I believe, ironically, it'll probably be a Republican, and then it'll be about 30 years down the line when most of the stuff is declassified, and the National Archives has had an opportunity to root through much of it. But that's not my motivation. My motivation is I believe in Hillary Rodham Clinton. I want the opportunity to make sure that on Election Day 2016, you are elected our 45th president of these United States. And on January 20th, 2017, at the stroke of noon, you're sworn in as president. Now, I don't know what your decision is, the west side or the east side of the Capitol. Reagan was the west side, so you'll probably go the east side. But I want you to know that I like to be there. Not in a front row seat. The ticket that Barney Frank gave me in 1996 was completely fine. I was able to hear Senator Ford clearly, and I forget who the other